Good.
Great.
Maybe. There we go. All right. All right. I'm playing Dub Conscious in the background. Adrian Zelski, HGH Seed International Hemp Exchange. Come on the show, Adrian. Live from the Mighty Veedverks Airship, I'm Travis Lippert, CEO of Verks Unlimited Limited, better known as Veedverks.
And I'm Julie Richardson, Director of Commercialization and Promotions. And we have a wonderful show planned for you today because we have Michael Canada with us from iSpark Studios. And we are going to talk about cannabis and art and maybe inspire some you to get out your canvas and your paints, hopefully.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so excited to share my artwork and anything else that I can.
So who were you before you got into the industry? What's your background?
Well, I did car audio and security for roughly 20 years. Once I got out of that, I worked for Denver Housing Authority as a maintenance man. And then I actually left there and I had a job working for Sheridan School District. And I was a groundskeeper. And this is kind of the funny story. The superintendent, before every school year, they give an orientation for new teachers and new employees. His speech was so inspirational to me about going out and doing what you love and building your dream. Really brought me back into art, to where that day I put my 2 weeks and said, I am going to follow my heart and create artwork.
And never looked back.
And never looked back.
So I love doing this show because I get to talk to people that will just plow through those fears and insecurities, and from the naysayers, and a lot of that is very well-meaning family and friends. But I'm so glad you did that. So very glad you did that.
It was a challenge. I had to really kind of make the commitment to want to do it.
And it's paying off. We're in the Hemp Connoisseur magazine of the top 100 people to know. And so I was so proud of you. I was flipping through that. We had so many of our Canna fans and people that we knew personally and had a chance to speak with, and it was like, oh yes, look at him. And then you were also in the Cannabis Cactus magazine. That's out of Arizona.
Correct, out of Phoenix. So through the power of Instagram, I post many of my works, and Michael Cassini liked them, and me and him started talking, and he asked if I'd like to have some of my works featured in the magazine. Of course. And I didn't hear from him for like 2 months, and with artwork sometimes you get promises that aren't kept. But I didn't hear from him, so it's kind of like, okay, that's all right. And then I get an email just before the end of the year, and he's like, we love your work, we've seen what you have online, and we'd like to put a piece of your artwork in our magazine every month for the next year. And I was like, definitely, I can work with that. So I was real glad. It's the little things, the little accomplishments, the funny, just sending out an email can bring back lots of rewards and self-happiness, and may take you to a place you never thought you would get.
Isn't that funny about the cannabis industry? You think, I think back on who I've met and how my life is now. You can't imagine this.
No.
This isn't anything you could make up. I don't know anybody who would have the imagination to come up with the twists and turns and.
Yeah, that is true. And in each corner always holds something. And I think now that it's been legalized rec for a moment, people are starting to expect it. They're really starting to look forward and think ahead, so that way they already know what the next challenge is, because they kind of foresee it, so that way they're able to work through it positively.
Now, would you consider yourself a patient? Or a supporter of patients?
I'm both. I don't have a rec card or anything.
Well, that doesn't matter. That doesn't qualify.
I'm on that fine line of growing up. It was always legal in my house, so I never really knew the cause and effect of it being illegal until I got older. But I started as a young age, a little bit younger than most people I would ever recommend, and I really started getting into it obviously in the teen years, and it helped me with a lot with dealing just, you know, a lot of the emotions, especially young adult and adolescent. And as I got older, it helped me with many of the issues that I received over the years as a child, such as PTSD and depression, and it would help me calm my mind. And I really didn't realize I was a patient until I quit smoking. I quit roughly 10 to 12 years. Anxious, angry, you know, I can go through all the emotions, but it changed once I started smoking again, because potency changed and everything, to where, you know, it wasn't the same, you know, it was relaxing and calm, but at times I can tend to get a little bit jaded and paranoid and okay. It took a switch to when I was younger, I'd have a good time, to when I got older, it's like, okay, you know, learn your limits, look for the strains that you like, and kind of stick with those, the basics.
Well, there you go. You know, when we were younger and we were experimenting, and coming from, I didn't come from area where it was not okay in any way, shape, or form. I wouldn't have even thought to know to ask what strain this brickweed was getting. Yeah, it just doesn't even qualify as cannabis in my book anymore. And then to what we have now, where we can go in and we can see if what we need is within that plant profile, and we can look at the terpenes, and we can look at the THC base, you know, maybe we need CBG that day. So, what a huge,
you know, and I think that was one of the differences while growing up, and, you know, as you said, brickweed, you didn't know what you were getting. It was just, here's a baggie, and, you know, give me your money and good luck. To where, you know, being able to walk into a dispensary and seeing everything, you know, wow, look at that, what does this do? How does this help? You know, what is this strain? Where did it come from? Being able to ask questions. And nothing, you know, nothing better than having a good bartender that knows what they're talking about and what their product is and what it's for.
Well, I've turned into the terpene queen at my dispensary. So if you're going to be a, you know, a queen, well, you might as well be a terpene queen.
Yes.
But I get so tickled because they will assign, I'll come in and the manager will go, oh, look, it's Julie, the terpene queen. Let's go talk to her, and it'll be as a new employee. And I'm sitting there explaining the pie chart to them, you know, and why it's important that you can't have a whole lot of pining and heart racing and anxiety, and which ones are better for calming, and what is myrcene and why is it important. I can't believe that they just turn people out that have that little knowledge.
You know, I think they were unexpected for how quick it would grow and how fast it would grow, to where, you know, sometimes you just have to get people in there to fill the spot, unfortunately. And, you know, I'm all for educating your employees. You know, and it's not super high on my list, but it's nice to know you can go in and trust someone, especially if you're having a really bad day and walk out with something that doesn't help you at all. And that's actually a story that kind of just happened. Recently.
Well, that happens,
like,
probably every day.
That's not going to be, that's not good. And it does, but you know, it's taken such a turn in education that there's something new every day, and it's hard to keep up and reading, you know, other people's Facebook pages or Instagram pages and many of the things they post, and trying to learn about what this does and what this does now and what they found and how it helps this. That it could be overwhelming. You gotta kind of pick your poisons, I guess. It's like, okay, I'm gonna focus on this right now, and then I'll move on to the next one and learn a little bit more about that.
Right. And we were talking earlier about what do you say when you have people asking for advice or knowledge. And there's some specific things that I do. PubMed, and I know Travis has put this up several times as a website where you can put in your your diagnosis, and research the the testing and different things that they have on there, and your illness on PubMed. And the other one is we have fantastic cannabis nurses, and always go that route is another good one. And then we have the Cannapatient Research, and they do a lot of ground floor educational outreach that It's what is needed in the states that aren't like Colorado and aren't like California. We live in such a bubble that we forget how alive and well prohibition is,
Yeah.
and how little knowledge is out there.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I have a tendency to post some stuff on Facebook, and I've met some people in the community that really don't understand prior to legalization, and it doesn't frustrate me, but it's kind of that little bit of an education thing. It's like you should know a little bit of the history, because you start getting into older patients, it really helps you understand them and maybe some of their needs, or at least how dealing with cannabis may affect them. Because not my mom is a user, but she's not a very I'm going to go to the dispensary myself kind of person. We take her, and she's just not comfortable doing it. And there's a little bit of a mindset that you could get in trouble if you're caught with it. So we help out as best as we can.
I love it when I see elderly people in the dispensary.
Yeah.
I'll walk up and ask them to help you.
Yeah. I've been lucky enough to do several events, and I'm always amazed at all the different people there, in ages, in ethnic groups. It's such a community that I feel safe, for one,
Right.
and two, it's so nice to meet people that have the same interests as you, and it's a big bowl of knowledge, because there's always someone there you can learn from. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't know that. Well, I never knew that either. And to pick and choose a little bit of what works for you, and at least in the line or the path that you're on, at least what you want to learn about cannabis.
Right. Well, it's the face of the stereotypical weed smoker. I mean, that's not what's really happening. You go to a cannabis, what people in non-legal states visualize us, we're all eating pizza and chips and picking out, when in reality, you go to a cannabis event and there's going to be hemp-laden foods. I don't think that's my phone doing that. At least I hope not. And vegetable trays and all sorts of different healthy version type things. And we're just not seen outside of Colorado like that.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of the basis in the beginning of my artwork was, is really changing the taboo and the stereotype of what at least cannabis art was. I've told people over and over again that I love the little cartoon characters and even the green aliens, but I wanted cannabis art to evolve, of course. And in many ways I kind of put that on my shoulders. So I try to make my work a little bit different and out of that range of what society may see cannabis users as, because of the stereotype art, especially some of the older art, and Reefer Madness art. So I really try to have people, when they look at it, understand that it's moving forward, and we're not going to be held back.
Are we having technical difficulties?
I can't tell. It sounds like we're really quiet, but it doesn't sound like that in my headphones.
Oh, it sounds good on the feed.
Does it?
The Facebook feed sounds good. I can't get the YouTube one though.
It's not going to YouTube. It's part of the troubleshooting.
Okay.
Hopefully that sounds better. Yeah, I'm not sure.
So if you're wondering who we're talking to, it's the wonderful Bubba is back in the studio answering your questions and helping us out. We've missed him for, almost a month, huh? Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I hope Tim Bruce Morgan from Be Good has given me very helpful feedback, telling me that it's really hard to hear. And so that's what sorry I haven't.
That's okay.
Hi Michael, welcome.
That's what
I'm sorry.
Hello. To start some of this off, I'm very quiet. I'm a little bit shy, so I'm actually probably talking a little. So just tell me speak up.
No, it was actually a technical issue that I believe since
let's
resolved.
go ahead and send the Be Good people
Yeah,
love.
Be Good. Thank you very much.
Be Good is our sponsor of the Green Room. They have generously donated waters for our guests with a coupon on the back, and they also take care of our pre-show sessions.
Yeah.
That's not SESSION, that's sessions.
Go great.
The little slip there. But many thanks. Awesome, awesome, awesome cannabis, and I have been proven a loyal customer.
And their water says got cottonmouth on it. Did you already say that?
No.
Yes, I do.
They have locations in Federal Heights, in North Glen, in West Wash Park, and Inglewood. And which is the one that's med only? It's West Wash Park. And then North Glen is both rec and med.
Right.
And then Federal Heights and Inglewood are rec. And they're awesome people. And we really appreciate the support that
Oh yeah.
they've given us. And check
I like
them
their
out.
products, the Llama brand, and you know, I thought I was getting something that was just top notch, and I tried theirs, and I'm like, I don't even want to finish my old stuff. You know, I'm gonna probably make that into butter.
Also, we need to
Oh
discuss
yeah,
the Green Crayon campaign.
absolutely.
Hashtag I stand with Ben. TheGreenCrayonCampaign.com. When I posted the link last week, the website appeared to be down. I'm not sure. So
Yeah, she's having some issues with
okay.
it, so contact them through Facebook. Call Governor Poland's office and leave the message, I stand with Ben 1. And I saw a news show the other day, over the weekend, and it had some school board people on there. And I wanted to call in so bad, I wish it had been that type of a show. But they were talking about how things work with changes within the state of Colorado when it comes to the school and what they were talking about 4-day weeks and what have you. And the importance of contacting your own personal school board, but really making the effort start in the Denver, because it seems to start in Denver and spread throughout. And these families in Douglas County are the ones that are getting loud. So we need to get loud across the state in every school board and not be okay with the passive language that they have and the option to opt out. There is no opting out when we're talking about a child's brain.
well said.
Support Green Crayon.
Hashtag I stand with Ben. We're gonna the Green Crayon campaign. You send them like, you know, green crayons to the. I wonder how many crayons he has now. I wonder if you can get access to that information.
Yeah. And I support that. I have family members that work in the education system. And they tell me the stories.
Yeah.
You know, it's as simple as being able to disperse the medicine to them instead of turning into a big circus, which it's become.
Yep.
If you can have an EpiPen, or if you can have one of those monster-sized suppositories, is the other option. I'm serious. It has to get up past the nerve and the rectum, and it's impossible.
Yeah.
And if they can have that, and nasal sprays, and other things like that, they can have this in very simple form nasal sprays of cannabis. They can have patches, just like they have paint patches. Nothing's going to be.
Well, you know, always from the standpoint, it's always the liability issue of who's going to be responsible for it. Mm-hmm.
But we
That's the
changed
saddest
that
part.
language. We made it
Well,
anybody at the schools
Yeah.
that wanted to do it, they
Okay.
could do it.
I wonder if any of the kids are trying to use rescue vape inhalers. That would be just perfect for today's news. I see that Larry Love joined. Larry, I will, before the end of this show, talk about vaping.
Absolutely.
But not quite yet.
Can we show his artwork now? Are we
Almost.
at a place? Oh yeah, we have to talk about
Mother's
Mother's
IT is coming up
I'm such a little kid.
on September 22nd at the McNichols, or I'm sorry, September 20th. That's right. That's how you remember it too, is because on September 20th, first we're going to see them aliens, and then Mother's High Tea. So September 20th, the McNichols building in downtown Denver. It's a really cool thing. You dress up, you wear fancy hats, and you can go to axs.com and search for Mother's IT if you want tickets. It's a
Absolutely.
non-consumption, family-friendly event. What did I say? Event. Sorry. But yeah, check it out. And now, how about this?
Yay! So I'm going to move my big head so you can see a little bit better.
But up to the hole.
There you go.
Scoot up.
There you go.
There we go.
I can resize it.
So there's a funny story about this picture. It actually looks
Ooh,
like somebody we love very, very much.
There we go. That'll work.
There.
Yeah.
Okay.
CPU's at 60,
So let's see who guesses,
60.3%.
who knows in the live feed who
Yeah.
that's supposed to be.
Everybody who's seen this painting in the Denver cannabis community believes that it is a certain person.
Yes, yes it is.
If you know who that person is,
Yes.
everybody thinks that's Emily High.
Mhm.
It is not. But when I met her, it really became her. And since that time, I tell people that she is the model for that painting. She,
Because it totally looks like Emily.
it does. It was probably universal. As we were talking, you know, sometimes the universe will have you in places to meet people. I'd never met Emily. I was doing a live painting event, and she just happened to come up, and me and her started talking, and you could see it. That looks like her. That looks like her. And she knew it looked like her. And after our conversation, and she kind of went her own way, other people at the event were walking through and saying, "That looks like Emily. That looks like Emily. That looks like Emily." And it really took on a life of its own, to where in reality, no, she wasn't the model, but she will always be the model to that piece.
That was a premonition of a beautiful friendship you were
You know,
having.
it really was. It really was. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful she loved it, because it gave the stamp of approval of, yeah.
But this is going into your style of art that you were talking about, getting away from the stoner pictures, the cartoonish type
Yes.
cannabis artwork. This is so subtle. She has a beautiful rhinestone hairpiece
Yes.
that happens to be a cannabis leaf. And other than that, it's not really in your face, other than the big huge cannabis at the bottom.
True. As you know, as I mentioned earlier about the little green alien, I feel that for my artwork, I was influenced by the masters Michelangelo, Leonardo, and you know, as time went on and I took art history, Maxwell Parrish. Their paintings are subtle in many ways, but they say a lot. So for my cannabis work, especially this piece, I wanted to design a piece not only that is a tad subtle. If you're not looking for it, you may not find it, but also something that an individual would hang up in their home, in their office, in their dispensary, and not be afraid to show it. I want to move cannabis art out of the basements and out of garages and into the homes. What did that look like?
That was kind of crazy.
Is that the Elmer Fudd hat? Is that what
the
they call it,
broadcast,
the Elmer
yes,
Fudd
there
hat?
you are, right
That's so cool. I hope our microphone's still kind of working.
The feed still sounds good.
Yeah,
Okay.
good. I love the Art Deco lettering.
Thank you.
That
Thank you.
is, yeah, it's just beautiful.
Well, all of my pieces, I tried to put some sort of not only learning about that style, but being able to understand why they used it. So with the Art Deco style, it's very bold, and it could be very subtle, which that is. But the lettering itself is actually in an Art Deco style. If you go to Google and type in Art Deco writing,
Yeah.
you know, that font came up, so that's kind of what I went with. I wanted to try to keep it as original as I could to something that maybe
Yeah.
came out of the 1920s.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of my favorite works. I really enjoy it. It actually started off as a different piece. There's actually some artwork under that artwork, and it sat for a long time, and I knew I wasn't going to finish it, so I decided to gesso over it and start all over from scratch. And I'm glad I waited, because that's what it turned into. It turned into something that I'm very proud of, and it's lucky enough it's very recognizable in the cannabis community. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy with that and proud of that.
Well, and that's how art works.
Yes.
isn't
Yes,
it? You know?
it is.
I don't know how many times I've heard, you know, with someone with a piece of rock and not really know what it was
Yeah.
until that piece of rock told it what it was going to become.
Yes, you know, and there's so much truth to that. I let my canvases speak to me. That's exactly what I do. I don't try to force them to be anything that, you know, the paint doesn't want to be. So I let my images tell me what it wants to be, where it wants paint, where it don't want, you know, take paint off, and that's a lot of these dealing with that piece. It took me, my Surviving With Cannabis piece took me a little bit longer, but I had to let it be what it wanted to be, and I couldn't force it.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Sounds fine. We hear from people.
Perfect.
We're trying new things here with putting the real life painting in the background.
Yes, I love it.
So we're actually looking at the real life piece here. I just took a couple pictures to show people,
Okay.
like eventually what we're doing. But I think that is pretty cool.
Thank you.
Do we want to do our scene change
Sure. So,
this time? Sorry, go ahead. Oh wait,
Go ahead.
wait. Okay, do it. Sorry, I don't need
That's
to.
all right. No, that's okay.
So, we have little marks on the floor. We're gonna bring in the next painting, and hope the CPU doesn't turn, you know.
While
burn us.
she's bringing that in, why don't you tell us about what these paintings are a part of?
Well,
Because that's going to lead into
definitely.
what we do.
I kind of got a couple different series, at least what I titled the series itself. So, the Joan of Spark, the painting that was behind me, that is the title, Joan of Spark. That's a little bit more along the lines of what I call the Marajuanalogues. And to give just a quick reference to the name, if anyone's ever watched Star Trek, Captain Kirk or William Shatner would, at the end of the show, Captain's Log, and it was basically just a diary.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what the Marajuanalogues are in my painting collection. They're just a diary of what I painted that has a cannabis image in it or related to cannabis. The next series that I came up with was called Surviving With Cannabis. And that's my self-portrait that's getting put up behind me right now. That series is really close to my heart. So to tell you the story on how it came about, it was another cannabis event, and Jason Margolis, who many of us know, he was a close friend, and me and him were talking about it. And the night he told me he had cancer, we were at an event and we were kind of walking around and looking at things. And I was a little surprised that after I left and kind of replayed it in my mind, the events that just happened, that at the event they didn't have a whole lot for just patients, patient driven. And I wanted to really think about what can I do to help. And the Surviving With Cannabis series was more or less born. Jason was going to be my first painting. We talked about it, we had some designs, and then true to his form, he felt that there was other people out there who was more deserving than he was. So he didn't want to be a painting at that time. Needless to say, he's going to filter through, of course. He is going to become a painting. But with the idea in hand, I met other people, and many people recommended of who I should talk to at least become a painting. The series itself, Surviving With Cannabis, is taking a group of individuals who suffer from an affliction, some ailment, whether it's depression, cancer, fibromyalgia, it could be any number of things that cannabis helps with. And they use it to help them get through their daily life, to whether it's function or, you know, be able to just get through the small stresses that they may incur through the day. Once I started to reach out to people and pitch the idea to them and learning about certain elements of what they suffer from, it then turned into putting these people into paintings. Now, for the paintings themselves, and you can kind of see mine, it's not just a self-portrait. It's taking that person and listening to their story and giving them strength and who they are as a fighter of their daily addiction, and giving them the voice that they may not have, instead of, as we were saying earlier, the taboo that society has on us. There's lots of people out there functioning right now that, you know, their coworkers don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But for the paintings themselves, I wanted to put them in a painting of glory. Now the difference is, what I want them to do is write their story. I want them to be able to take why they use cannabis, how it helps them during the day, what affliction they may have, and really pair that up with the painting. So that way, as I get more paintings done, you can have the story of this individual who is the portrait, read them both, and I hope that it really sparks a conversation of, I'm not alone out there, there's someone else that has this ailment as me, and this is what they're using. I want to meet this person. You know, maybe there's some help there that I had overlooked, especially for some of the people who are on the fence, that deal with something and they're thinking about cannabis and maybe just a little bit afraid. You know, a good conversation may change that for one person and help save someone's lives as well. Most of the portraits, and at least this series, and we were kind of talking about this a little bit earlier, it's a little bit more for the people who aren't in the cannabis community.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, and hopefully most people in it know the healing properties of cannabis. Not everyone outside of that knows that, so hopefully this will spark the conversation and bring people in and help them understand and educate them on the benefits of it.
And it's not just the healing properties of cannabis, but it's also the healing properties of art.
Yes.
You know, if you've talked to anybody that has taken up art maybe later in their life, and they talk about how meditative and how healing it is, and but let's talk about the story of this painting. And it has a very much Renaissance feel to it.
It does.
The story it's saying to me is, I see the darkness, but I also see the universe of light.
Yeah.
So you're coming into this place where it's a little darker, and instead of swords to battle, you have your brushes, and so that you can tell the story and bring the information. That's your weapon.
Yes.
And you're bringing the information,
Yeah.
and to bring them out of that darkness and back into the universal where the blue and the red is.
Each person that I've approached to be a portrait has their own story. So for my portrait, this is my story. It really helps me, as you were saying, you know, I suffer from, you know, depression, and that's one of my outlets. Painting has been one of the biggest, if not best, outlet for me to create something. The painting itself has a lot of different meanings for me. As a child, I was picked on and bullied, and that came with, you know, PTSD as I got older, and it really took away a lot of my self-confidence and looking for, whether it be approval or even, you know, just being accepted. Now, that was probably the stepping stones into a lot of my depression, not feeling good enough or you know, worth, you know, anything at times. So with the painting, I tried to, I did a lot of thinking that, and it brought back actually a lot of memories, and, you know, really made me think a lot more. And it took me a lot longer to do my self-portrait because of that. I really dug as deep as I could for myself. So the painting, at least dealing with being an angel. Growing up, I was very spiritual, sixth sense. I was raised Catholic, and I'm no longer part of any organized religion, you know. But I was raised Catholic, so my
You
first.
have that foundation.
I have that foundation, yeah. But it led me to other great religions. I was introduced to Michelangelo and Leonardo in ancient Egypt and ancient Rome. Going to a Catholic school, that was a lot of the artwork they display. That's what they wanted you to see. But I've always had a soft spot in my heart for angels. Reason being, my mom said I would talk to angels when I was little. I had a sixth sense, and, you know, I had some friends, and she said that I used to have premonitions. And one of the biggest ones that, at least I've been told and I can remember, is the mountain being on fire. There's a mountain on fire. I woke up and was crying, and like a day and a half later, Mount St. Helens erupted. And, you know, it really got my mom thinking a little bit more. So she's always told me of stories of when I was a child that, you know, she didn't know whether to believe or not to. And she'll tell you, she'll let you hear them all day long if you sit down. She's like, Michael this, Michael that. But you know, that's a lot of these dealing with that, the spiritual side of me. I'm also wearing armor in there, and over the years, you know, I think I've built up an armor as well. Like, I rarely take it off. It's become my shield, not only from negativity, but you know, from even sometimes from myself, to be honest with you. On the armor itself, there's actually a number 37, and it's real faint, but that was my nephew's favorite number, and he passed away almost 10 years ago, if not 10 years ago. So I always keep him close to my heart. So that part is very significant to me, and that's embracing a little bit of who I am. The paintbrushes, I'm here to actually add beauty and color to the world. That's how I see myself as an artist, and it's one way that I contribute not only to humanity, but as well as the cannabis community, spreading what I can and the knowledge that I do have in the cannabis community. So the globe itself with the leaf in it. First I'll tell you the name of the piece. The title is The Messenger. And with the Surviving With Cannabis series and my self-portrait, in many ways, that's how I see myself. A little bit of the messenger. I'm just here to create the paintings of people who suffer from something and tell their stories, and I'm sharing it with the world. At least dealing with the globe and the cannabis leaf, that's what I'm offering. I'm offering education and hopefully, you know, someone who is looking for that to reach out and honestly grab it. I'm handing it to you. You just sometimes have to be able to take the next step and want to reach for it.
Well, I'm even noticing the saffron robe. A saffron robe is worn by sages.
Yeah.
And knowledge keepers.
It is. You know, and that's why it's over my right shoulder. I try to, like I said, I try to learn as much as I can. It's not only about the piece I'm painting, but whatever's going into it as well.
Yeah.
There you go.
Will you touch that?
I will. That's great.
That's awesome.
So this is what I'm handing to you. All that I can, all the knowledge that I have, which is a little limited at times. But I'm offering you hopefully an opportunity not only as a patient, but to tell your story, because sometimes people need to be heard, and they may be a little shy about it. And with the painting, hopefully it gives them a little bit more of I don't actually have to show all of this. I can show a lot of this, so people understand. So that's really a lot of the Surviving With Cannabis series itself. And this, you know, there's a whole bunch of little nuances in there. My wings are broken. I feel broken at times. I have some issues. I've lost some wings on my journey, but I continue on. I'm moving forward, and I think that's what it's all about in just life in general. You've got to keep moving forward, and if you do have setbacks, you know, hopefully you learn from them and put them in your arsenal somewhere. That way, the next step isn't as bad or as hard.
Tell us about who else is going to be in this series.
Well, I have lots of great people. I respect all of them. I adore their stories, and once they told me their story and I knew they were going to be part of the series, I couldn't have been more excited. So, the first person I asked, like I had stated, was Jason. But he recommended that I talk to Larissa Boulevard about it. She is part of the series. Don Blackman is part of the series. Anthony Sabia is part of the series. And then, and many of you know, hopefully know them. They're very big in the community. But it's not just community-based. I have other individuals who are not well known in the community. I have Felice Armijo, Michael Mahoney, and they're sharing their stories and telling how cannabis is medicine and helps them, and really putting themselves out there as well, which is kind of the biggest thing that, you know, it was one of the things that I learned, is putting myself out there. I've been able to hear Don's story and Larissa's and Anthony's many times now. They talk to people about it. I don't always feel comfortable talking about it and saying, yeah, this is my problem and I deal with this, you know. I still have, as I say, I have my armor on. It's very apparent, but I have lots of great individuals who are starting to really understand Surviving with Cannabis and can contact me and want to do stories. And I couldn't be more excited. My wife, Elisa Armijo, she's going to be a painting. She suffers from fibromyalgia. I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting anyone. Deanna Jean, she's going to be from Parents for Pots. She's going to be a painting. And I'll also filter in some other individuals that are no longer with us. My nephew Sean is definitely a survivor. Mickey Martin, if any of you know who he is,
Yeah.
he is going to be a painting. So I'm trying to really encompass all that I can and really not only share stories of who they are and how it helps them. You know, people that are no longer with us that may not be able to tell their story, obviously, but have them be able to present their story to people who may not know who they are. Because there's a little bit of younger generation who has no idea who Mickey Martin is. So it's kind of, we want to reintroduce him into the in many ways.
So in the background, he was playing the show from what was last year, last summer, where we have another person who is using her art to canvas, but that's Don Blackman and Elena Jackson and Samantha Prock, the Crochet Queen,
Yeah.
Mile High Stitches.
That was such a fun show.
That was
And-
so fun. Who would have ever thought that crochet and cannabis would go together and then make such a hysterically fun show as this one?
My grandma.
Yeah.
This is so
She was a
trippy.
crocheter.
Mhm.
Yeah, she was.
This is so trippy.
So I don't care what you're doing in the cannabis space. I want to talk to you and I want to make a show about it.
I should have worn a different shirt today.
Oh,
If I would have worn that shirt, then that would have been.
that would have been trippy.
But yeah. Sorry, I'm geeking out about the technology today. It looks like we're trying all sorts of new stuff that I've always known that we could do, but just haven't.
Well, I was just going to wear my entire green suit and just kind of be a floating head.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
I have one if you want to borrow it.
Okay, I do actually. Well, if I'm lucky enough to get back on the show again, bring it. I'll wear it. But you know, that's really a lot of at least what the series is about and based on. And I'm proud to be a part of it. I tell everyone I've asked, and the story is really about them. I was very hesitant at first to even do a portrait of myself. You know, a little bit still hiding, and I think in retrospect it was probably the best thing I could have done for myself was to do a painting, a
It's very
self-portrait.
therapeutic at
Oh,
first.
it is. I find most of my creative energy at night. I'm very nocturnal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I find most of my energy at night. It allows me to think and just really focus on what I'm doing and take myself a little bit out of myself to see the whole picture surrounding not only the canvas but me and what I'm trying to create as an individual.
And that's okay. You know, I'm a morning person. But the artist that does Veedverks, he's one of the owners. He's like that.
Yeah.
He'll work all night long and create all this magical stuff, and
Yeah.
it's just that's when he's good.
Yeah.
But then you want to catch me at like 7.
You know, it was actually a struggle for me to go from a true day job to painting all night because I still had the fear of in the day I wasn't getting nothing done. I felt, oh, I didn't get this done. I slept till 2 in the afternoon. So then I always felt rushed in a hurry. So I really had to learn how to manage my time a lot better, especially being up 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning all by
Can
myself.
we pull up his website? So what if I'm just sitting here and I'm totally loving this and I just want a piece of yours in my living room
Well,
or at my studio or place of business? How do I make that happen?
well, there's 2 ways you can contact me. One is through Facebook, and the next would be through my website. It's michaelcanadaart.com, all one word. And all my pieces are on display on my webpage. I try to update it as much as I can,
Mm-hmm.
and prices there, listing my contact. I can be contacted also at michaelcanadaart@yahoo.com if you're interested in any pieces. And I do make prints and giclées of them as well. I know that not everyone will be able to or want to own an original. They're so hard. That's it.
There we go.
Boy, oh boy. It's been a technical challenge. But we're doing it. This is, okay, here we go.
All right, here we go.
Oh, I didn't crop that well. 1 second. There. Something like this. All right.
There we go.
So usually, for the most part, you can scroll through and you can click on the image that you would like to see. I try to make it very user friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Emily.
Yeah. Now that's a powerful one with the molecule.
That one is first to legalize. So when rec became legal here in Colorado, that was the first painting I did. I wanted to create something that was strong behind everything that just happened.
Mm-hmm.
So with that piece, the American bald eagle, of course, freedom, it has a lot of symbolism behind it.
Mm-hmm.
In one claw you see the leaf, so that represents recreational. The next one, medical, and the molecule for THC is actually the scientific part of it. I wanted to encompass and embrace all three and bring them together as one.
Hangs behind my desk.
Is it? So that's my envision when I created that piece. And in Deagle's mouth, in Latin, it says, in marijuana we trust.
Oh, it's awesome.
Thank you.
This is cool. We have the we have originals. We have prints.
You got to be a little
We've
versatile.
got digital on the monitor over here. That's it's so. Sorry, I'm just having a lot of fun with all these cool visuals that we're getting out of this.
But that's really what that piece is about, of course. You know, it's a little bit self-explanatory, but I wanted something, like I said, strong to come out of the gate from my studio once it was rec legal.
How about the dragster?
That is the first piece I ever created in what would be the cannabis logs. So the story behind that piece and the idea, and it was actually the planting of a seed, I want to say early 90s, 91, maybe 92, could be 93. Me and my wife were sitting down watching the Broncos, smoking, and a commercial came on for, let's just say, an alcohol. And as we're sitting there, you know, the mind's thinking, I wonder what cannabis would sponsor if it was legal, commercialized.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I didn't know I planted a seed. Several years go by, and I'm thinking, you know, Bandimere was starting to come around, and I'm looking at it, and the drag races, and, you know, somewhere upon that moment, it was the marijuana drag.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at top fuel dragsters, I'm thinking marijuana, and it kind of just combined itself together. So I airbrushed it, and I kind of put it away, and eventually, once I got into school and was taking art a little bit more seriously, I really wanted to focus on some of the cannabis work, and that's how that piece actually came across. It was just taking an old idea, putting a spin on it, and creating a little bit of play on words for the most part, at least with that piece.
How about this?
The mota.
The motocross, kind of same idea. Some of my work, I try to encompass someone's interests. Now, I know there's lots of individuals out there who love motorcycles. This might be the piece for them. It's just embracing, you know, an idea and really kind of looking back at history and saying, you know, in 1929, before 37, would they have had something called the motocross? Instead of motocross, and you change it up a little bit, Cannabis Beach having a bunch of old, you know, 1920 Harleys and Indians going in a circle with some guy on it. And each piece actually, and the pieces you were showing, they actually you know, I don't know if it's become my trademark, but I tend to always have some small little cannabis leaf in it somewhere.
Mhm.
So on this one, it's on this tank, and it's very subtle. And in the,
Oh, it
original, it's really subtle. The colors really blend in together. So for like on the, so from the marijuana drag previously, it's kind of on the side, one of the side panels,
Yeah.
right there. And then, you know, I try to be very subtle about it, but it's not really trying to hide it. It's more I want people to look for it. I want people to notice it. I want them to not only look at my artwork, but I want them to know that they're absorbing it and looking for stuff as well. Because I've actually been lucky enough to be in the art community in Denver for years. And when you get on Santa Fe, you get many people walk by, and if you're displaying, they'll just walk by. And they may miss something that really is them as an individual in the artwork. So I try to really let them know they have to look at my work to look for things, little hidden stuff. The Kentucky Doobie, same concept. We all have heard of the Kentucky Derby, just a play on words. There's that number 37 again. Like I said, it was my nephew's favorite number. It's close to my heart. You may see it in many of my paintings.
Why was it his favorite number? Do you know?
This was the story he told. He loved the Broncos, and there were a couple variations of it. He loved the Broncos, so when you combined his two favorite players, John Elway and Terrell Davis, came up with number 37. His mom, supposedly, my sister Caroline, was 37 when she got her first tattoo. I don't know how true that is, but that's the story he said. And he always had these little calculations of 37 always representing itself to him, so that became his favorite number. We thought it was hilarious when he would tell us, 37 is my favorite number. Well, most people have 7
It's a
or
cool
1.
number.
Yeah.
And you know, and as I said, you know, he unfortunately is no longer with us, so he kind of got the last laugh with all of it, because I have it tattooed on my neck. My brother has it tattooed. My mom, my sister, and you know, it went through that everyone wanted to represent and symbolize him, and it came off as the number 37. So he kind of really did get the last laugh at that one.
It's a prime number.
It is a prime number.
It's not in the Fibonacci sequence. I remember it from Clerks. Yeah.
You know, and now
Pops up every now and then.
now that you say it, watch, that's one of those things. For me, 37 is what many people see as 1111. You know, I see it everywhere. I see it on receipts. I see it on TV. I see it just looking
Mine
around.
is 369.
369.
If it's got those in there,
Yeah.
I pay more attention to those.
To it. Yeah, it is. It gives me like, okay, oh, what is that? Okay, I see the number. Oh, look, we got a 37 on our lotto ticket. We're gonna win.
Yeah.
But it is. That is that piece. And actually, before you show that one, I'll say this. So for that piece, one of the funny things about that piece shows some of the differences. That was one of the first pieces that got displayed with the other two. I call them the big three. A lot of people, like I was saying, you know, having the leaf in there, that's not what they're looking for. The first thing that would grab them is, you spelled Kentucky wrong. That was the first thing, and I went with it just because Doobie, IE, and I wanted to have them match.
Yeah.
And I showed it in evergreen.
And you don't have that dangler hanging down there to deal with.
Yeah.
Visually.
Exactly.
Like,
That's what led it into the IE.
You can do it with the G, but you.
I showed it in evergreen, and there was a man who was so upset, and I mean upset, that I didn't use a Y, and he kind of stormed out there. What kind of art show is this? Okay, you have a nice day. So that's the story behind that one. It was real funny, and they're fun to create. They're fun to create. It's trying to, like I said, take people's interests and put it into a little bit of a cannabis setting and a little bit of history, and have fun with art, and make them really look at it and think about it, and make them hopefully wonder if maybe that's on the horizon somewhere in the world.
Okay, now can I show this?
You can't.
Right. Wait, let me find it on your site. Work computer. Where There.
So many different.
Next one.
Next one.
Actually, well, you can show that one. That one's
Wait.
It's the same thing.
Close.
That
I
one.
was trying to match
okay,
this.
That's okay. So the original version behind me.
Wait.
These are called Ladybud. So there's two different versions. The one behind me is a little bit different than the one you have in the hand, and that's okay. So the one behind me.
Oh,
is,
I see.
The one behind me is the one Diana owns.
Uh-huh.
That's the one I gave to Diane Fornbacher when I met her, and she talked about Ladybud in magazine and what she does. And it was such a sleepy little hit that eventually I had to redo it again. So this would be the second time I've redone that piece.
I think I like this one.
It's a little well
It's a little more deeper.
yes.
It's almost like you're invading on the privacy of the ladybug a little bit more, but this one is, you know,
So-
going out, but that's more of.
So what's good about those two pieces? That's a little bit of my journey. The one Diane owns is an acrylic. This one is an oil. So I actually changed from acrylic to oil as I got more serious about art. And in many ways, I do love oils. You can bring out so much work. And those two pieces, that one's oil, that one's acrylic as well.
Right.
And you can kind of see the differences between them. But I try to jump back and forth, but that's mainly the differences between those two and the depth in this one compared to that one.
Right.
It's a little stuff, just a little change there.
Ladybugs are the protectors of the field.
They are.
Didn't you say that this is one of your most popular?
It is.
It's
It is.
because ladybugs, they protect your plant.
And they bring such positive and great energy that,
Yeah.
you know, I have one hung in my house and you can just feel it when you walk by this.
Yeah.
You just want to look at it and smile.
Yeah. Every
But
grower needs that, just for good luck.
Yes. Yes. And it is. It's anyone that's ever been in a growing environment, they help out so much.
Let's see what else do we have. This is so cool. I don't know if I have a... Hang in there with me, computer. Oh, how about this one? Sorry. No. All right, this trick's run out. I think. No, there we go. We've got this one here. Right?
Yes, so that piece is actually named after Strain. It was a commissioned piece by an Oakland Raider fan. And it has a little bit of Hispanic heritage to it. It's a Day of the Dead piece, the Muerto, the face, the painting. But I wanted to change a little bit of the official Raider symbol that they have now to something that the individual who was purchasing it and commissioned it, to have it more for them. They're really individuals who love Day of the Dead. They celebrate it every year. They do consume cannabis. And I was just able to mix the two together and really create a piece for him that he loves. And it's very specific to him.
Highly customized man cave
Correct.
material.
Correct. That's exactly, and you know what, that's where it is too.
Yeah. It's the only way to it's the only way to do it. But this.
So, that piece is titled Templeton. If anyone's ever played tennis or even any sport, there's always a name brand on the equipment. So
Right.
for tennis, it may be Wilson. And I really just wanted to change that, and it's him. It's pretty simple. It's taking an idea and maybe moving it forward to having tennis balls maybe made with him now.
But
And
you know,
it's
they
what,
can.
yeah. And
It's a rubber ball.
Yeah,
No, that didn't
Yes.
work.
We are
Yes.
so close.
So there's so many different opportunities, and I'm just trying to have fun with my artwork, and I get some ideas, and I just try to encompass them and say, well, why can't you? Why can't you? And that's a very subtle piece. The original, the writing and the leaf on it, it is very small.
Yeah, it's almost it's like subversive.
Yeah,
It's normalizing hemp. It's putting hemp in all these little places
You know, and
where
I
you
think,
didn't used to see hemp before. Race car hoods.
you know, and I think with a lot of my works, as you're going through all of them, and thank you so much. They're all different. They all encompass something different. Some of the leaves are a little bit bigger. Some are real tiny, and you kind of have to look for them. But I think that's the reality in the world that cannabis is. It could be huge, or it could be just, you know, right here, and it doesn't want anyone to notice it in certain ways.
Right.
We are running over on time, just so everybody
Oh,
knows.
well, darn.
But yeah, it's really cool.
Such
Check it out.
beautiful art.
Thank you.
And you're Canafan. You're choosing, like, just the fact that, like, yeah, I'm gonna do one on Don Blackman. It's like, oh, we love Don Blackman. It's good choices.
I love her too. She's so great. I love her. And that's when I approached her with the idea. It took her a minute. She wanted to do some research, but once she found out what I was talking about and where I was trying to get it to go, she was on board. And she is so helpful to me if I have questions about it. We had a meeting and we talked about it, me and the survivors, and it's a group effort.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want anyone to think it's just about me. It's really about helping patients and bringing their stories with their faces and putting them, as I said, you know, as victors, because that's what they are. They're heroes. They're real people, real stories, and real heroes. And if anything, I owe many people who are in this group, I owe them more than, you know, they could ever give me. You know, and they've helped me out tremendously to not only help me out of my shell in many ways, but also explain the larger world of a lot of certain cannabis things to me. You know, I'm really in the middle. I'm kind of a, you know, I don't know a whole lot about cannabis, but I know enough. But for the art world, that's kind of where I am. And I for some time now, I've been trying to really merge the two together and really be able to combine them both. And the only way I can do it for the moment is at least through my art. So that's what I focus on.
And I love the Da Vinci Code feel to it.
Yeah.
Looking for the hidden symbols in your artwork.
You know, that's a little bit of
For truth. Oh, look, now we have an angel.
He's watching over us as we journey.
I got to get a shot with him in the, or with you, but with the ball in the background. That'd be perfect. Yeah.
There you go.
Shrink it down. There. Now. If you hold that.
Let's see, I'm trying to figure out which I can go here. All right, that's kind of it. Now that, of course, I'm not shaving, so here, we'll do this. There you go. You know, it takes on a whole different look when I'm not clean shaven.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me mess around.
Oh, not a problem. I love it. I thought we were going to talk about aliens. We never reached that point.
Well, keep going. The U.S. government has a patent on cannabinoids as neuroprotectants and antioxidants. It's patent number 6630507. You should Google it. And that's totally going to hit Alabama. It's so fun. Yeah, let's talk about aliens. What do you think?
I believe there's something out there. Now, whether they're human form or not, there's something out there. I'm a believer that as big as this universe is, we cannot be the only thinking creatures. So, you know, time will tell, obviously, and hopefully I'm around to see it.
September 20th, we're going to see them aliens, and then we're going to go to Mother's Eye too.
You're going to take some of them with us? This is what I told Dawn, because I was watching that day, and I told her, I said, you know, you probably have good weed and great stories, aliens. So they'll, you know, to be able to hang out with them and hear their journeys in life.
I think that they should put on the best air show of all time that day, and just show everybody, fly over everything that we've got. We have a bunch of cool stuff. We have all these drones that people don't even know, one after the other. It's all already right there at Red Flag at Nellis Air Force Base. I mean, they're always putting on cool air shows there, just practicing to go fight against aggressive, dissimilar air combat tactics and stuff. But and then at the end they should fly over that UFO because we know that you got aliens in Area 51.
Definitely.
In S4.
You know, as you're talking about that, you know, I think not only documentaries and certain things I've seen in many of the people, pilots and astronauts, that,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, there was something out there, you know, and then you can kind of see it in their eyes that they want to say what it was, but it's like, I better not say what it was. But it's like, yeah, there's something out there, and they kind of duck through the questions and things like that. But yeah, there's a whole lot going on in this universe. I really do lean towards there's something out there. Well, and as you say that, my dad used to work for Lockheed Martin, and we'd ask him what he'd do, and as the joke gets old, it's, if I tell you, I have to kill you. And he used to bring home stuff from that was at least once classified. He'd bring declassified stuff home, and I'd have to ask him what it was, and he'd say, well, you know, this is what this is, and this is, you know, this is what we're looking for. This is pointed out toward the heavens. It's looking for intelligent life. And it's like, all right, you guys know something we don't. So. But yeah, he was pretty secretive on a lot of that stuff. He took a lot of stuff to his grave, and you know, a man of honor, as they'd say. He signed something.
Good. What about Bigfoot?
I think he's an extension of the Yeti.
I
think the Yeti.
It's only a matter of time. I think it's going to be tough to go out in the woods anymore without hearing what sounds like Bigfoot, because there's Bigfoot researchers out there going, whoa, looking for Bigfoot.
You know, as big as our Earth is, I'm sure there's many things hidden. What about Loch Ness?
I don't know. I just saw something where they measured all like water in there, and they were able to tell that there was no
environmental DNA.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, a plesiosaur, I think, is one of the thoughts about what Loch Ness was going to be, but they didn't find any plesiosaur DNA, according to them.
I just happened to watch a documentary, I think it was might have been Netflix, I don't know. But they'll take things from the environment, like water or soil sample, and look for DNA within that.
Oh, wow.
And that's what they did with Loch Ness, is they really aren't finding what they're looking for. But yet, on the other hand, hasn't there been some environmental DNA picked up with Bigfoot? Been hair
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
Unexplained hair and...
Yeah, well, they have hunters that say, you know, I have a paw or, you know, strands of hair from them. And usually, at least, when they come back, it's usually unknown. Or, you know, there's a little bit of human DNA, but not very much in this.
Oh. I'm going to turn this down for a second.
Yeah.
I forgot I was going to talk about vaping.
Yeah, we need to...
Speaking of, because I was thinking, well, you can't prove that something doesn't exist. You can only hypothesize that it does exist and then go seeking to find out if it does. I mean, it's just basic science stuff. And so, being in the vape cartridge industry, being a long-time player in the vape cartridge industry, all of this news onslaught has been really difficult to watch, like every morning. And what I can say first and foremost is that we don't have any vitamin E acetate in our products, nor do we have any MCT oil, nor do we have any diacetyl, which is what's to blame for popcorn lung, which is different from what these people are getting. But this is a concerted effort to just crush a big part of an industry that the tobacco industry is taking over right now. Altria owns Marlboro. They own 45% of Juul. And the only people who are going to be able to really weather this storm are those who have a whole ton of lawyers who are used to defending cigarette lawsuits. That's, there's no doubt in my mind that some people have gotten sick. Last I heard it was 5. I'm sure they'll keep finding them. But it's not like cigarettes. It is not like alcohol. And they've already got some pretty strong culprits for a particular problem that all these people have shared. But we don't use that in our products. And test costs are like, if I could invest in business right now, like a new cannabis business, it would be testing lab. They're going to be so busy, and it's not just going to be because what is vaping? It could be the example that just immediately comes to mind is a volcano vaporizer, tabletop vaporizer that turns dry herb into a big bag that you inhale.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like with House Bill 1076, where wasn't that it?
I think
The
so.
vaping bill,
Was that it?
where you need to get a lot more particular.
Well, you, as a business owner, and this was before I came on board, you went above and beyond to research what you felt was the safest route.
Yeah.
From the get-go.
Yeah.
You were proactive in this. And through this controversy, we've started QR codes at Veedverks on the products. And you've always been a step ahead of all of that as far as testing, making sure you had high quality products and parts.
Being a step ahead is not going to do
I
many
know.
people much good. It's going to.
But you didn't
This
want
is
to even
really,
have the
like, I
conversation of
yeah.
crappy products. You know,
Yeah.
that wasn't even, there's nothing artificial, there's nothing in there that a lot of these problems are coming from.
Well, we'll find out. We'll all find out. But it's definitely going to shake up this industry. There is no doubt about it. And the victors will be the makers of Camel cigarettes and Marlboro cigarettes. That's the only way that you can get somebody on the morning news every freaking morning for like 2 weeks is you have a great big New York public law or public relations firm. You
Well,
hire somebody
especially in
and
cannabis
pay.
too.
Pushing the
Because it
Yeah.
can take long
Yeah.
for it to be
Yeah.
backed on THC.
Yeah, we need to. I have the same attitude as with 1076. I mean, there are certain things that you need to keep carved out, freedom-wise, and I think that vaping is one of those. It's a really big subject. It could be a dry herb vape. It could be a concentrate vape. It could be a cartridge.
Mm-hmm.
It could be e-liquid that you're putting into a big tank that you screw onto a dual 18600 battery.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really big subject, but there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt out there. And so far, like I know it's going to affect this industry tremendously. As far as our products go, we don't use what they're blaming us on right now. And we've been using it for a long time. And we had a good reason why we used it to begin with, and we've stuck with that this entire time. Like, when we first formulated our vape cartridges, years ago now, if you think about that, years ago, we hired a chemist to tell us what is the safest diluent that you can use. And then we hired another chemist to tell us what is the safest diluent. And they came back with the same independent answer. And that's why we've stuck with it this entire time. But it would have been easier to talk about coconut oil,
Mm-hmm.
MCT. It's organic MCT, and we've seen a lot of vape cartridge makers come on the scene and just do stuff like that where we're just like it's no good. But so I guess in conclusion, I'll be watching the morning news tomorrow, just like everybody else, and waiting to see what they say next. But we don't have any vitamin E acetate. We don't have any MCT. We don't have any diacetyl. We do have Colorado grown hemp derived CBD, and we have natural terpenes, and we have PEG 400. It's an alcohol. Like the primary. This is a bigger topic than we're going to have time for, but we'll keep talking about it. I'll talk to people. I was thinking that we should just film, like, doing a whole cartridge run, and
That's
showing people
interesting.
and putting out on the internet so that 1,000 other companies could just skip straight to that point where they figure that out. Like just do a how to. It's there are
The
new
behind
ones.
the scenes look.
Yeah, just show them doing a mix. Tell them how to do it, how to do the math, how to measure it out, how to just tell the whole world. That's one thing that could result from this. I don't know. But vaping's a big topic, and there are many, many unknowns, and there are some culprits, there are some suspects, and we'll just all find out.
Right.
All right.
All right. And there's our music.
There.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
This
Thank you,
has been
Julie, for setting us
wonderful.
up. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And as always, I'm Travis Lippert reminding you, if you don't get hemp here, get hemp somewhere.